Hey, what's up guys? So in this video we're going to take a look at cross-compatibility between different brands of radar detectors and their power cables. And the reason this is important is if you have a hardwired power cable especially. Cigarette lighter power cables like this, obviously it's really easy to just unplug the old one and plug in the new one. But if you have a hardwired power cable, they'll work to a certain extent, but you may run across some issues. For example, if you have a Valentine power cable with Savvy, that can actually do some weird things as far as muting and the lockouts with an Escort detector. If you have a smart cord like this that's hardwired with an Escort detector, it can power different brands of detectors, but you may run into some issues with the mute button and alert LED. And so, spoiler, I mean, they're all going to work as far as power, but there's going to be some weird issues you'll come across with some of the extra features. So let's start mixing and matching and see how compatible they are and what issues, if any, arise once you start mixing. Starting with the Escort power cable and Escort detector, obviously that's going to work just fine. We have our status LED right there, and let's see how the alert LED and the remote mute button work. Perfect. As expected, that works just fine. Escort power cable with the Valentine 1, we've already got some issues. It powers on our detector, but we've got some weird blinking lights here going on with the smart cord. Let's test the alert and remote muting. Alerts work fine. Mute button does not. Escort power cable, unit and detector. Looks like it powers on our detector just fine. Power LED is good, but the alert LED is solid, which it shouldn't be.
34,676.
Looks like the alert works. What about the mute button? Mute button does not work, but we do have a flashing alert LED. That's pretty cool. Next up, V1 power cable connected to the V1. Works fine. V1 power cable and unit and detector. That works just fine to power the detector. Let's do a quick alert.
34,675.
No problem there either. Next, V1 power cable plugged into an Escort detector. That works to power the detector. Now, one issue that I've run into in practice is if you're using the Savvy for the V1. That basically tells the detector to mute at low speeds. The way that it works is when you're traveling below the speed, it repeatedly tells the detector to mute. So if an alert pops up at any point, it will mute the detector. However, repeatedly telling an Escort detector to mute will actually create a GPS lockout. So you can be sitting at a stoplight and it will actually start locking out every single signal that pops up. So I don't recommend using Savvy with an Escort detector. That's actually the reason that I've switched to using a standard V1 power cable in my car as opposed to Savvy. Finally, we've got a unit-in power cable plugged into a unit-in radar detector. Powers on the detector, of course, and here's how the alerts work.
34,675.
Perfect, so power works, the mute button works, and the alert LED works. Next, here's a unit and power cable plugged into the V1. We can see it powers the detector, but we have a weird blinking going on here with the alert LED. Alerts work. Oh, the mute button works surprisingly, but we don't see any difference here for the alert LED. Finally, here's a unit and power cable and an Escort detector. Looks like it powers on the detector just fine. The alert LED is normal, and let's see how the alerts work. So it looks like the alert LED doesn't flash in the presence of alert, and the mute button doesn't work either. But otherwise, as you can see, all the detectors will actually work to power each other, but the remote mute buttons and alert LEDs have varying levels of compatibility. So awesome, there you go, there's a quick look. Hope you guys have enjoyed this episode of 5 Minute Fridays. Let me know what questions you guys have and what things you'd like to see tested, and I may cover them in one of the subsequent weeks. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.